Imagine you've spent 40 years building a house. Every single month you bought the bricks, you laid the foundation, you put up the drywall, and you painted the rooms. You skipped vacations to pay for the roof. You worked overtime to afford the plumbing. You poured your blood, sweat, and literal tears into this structure because it was supposed to be your sanctuary. It was supposed to be the place where you'd finally rest. Now, imagine it's your 65th birthday. You're standing in the driveway, key in hand, ready to finally move in and retire. But as you go to unlock the front door, a man in a suit steps out from the shadows of your porch. He's carrying a clipboard and a sledgehammer. He says, "Beautiful house, truly, but I think you forgot about our agreement. I'm your silent partner. I didn't help you lay a single brick, and I didn't take any of the risk when the market crashed in 2008 or 2020. But according to the deed, I own 30% of these bedrooms. Actually, wait, the national debt just hit $34 trillion, so let's make it 40%. Oh, and if you don't start using the kitchen by next Tuesday, I'm going to fine you thousands of dollars a day." You'd be outraged. You'd call it a robbery. You'd say the system is rigged. But here's the terrifying truth. This isn't a ghost story. It is the literal mathematical reality of your traditional 401k. You log into your Fidelity or Vanguard account. You see $1 million and you think you're a millionaire. You are not. You are the custodian of a massive tax liability. You have $700,000 and a ticking IOU to the United States government. And today, we're going to talk about why that bomb is set to go off exactly when you can least afford it. My name is Joey, and I spend way too much time thinking about how the safe financial advice we've been fed for decades is actually designed to benefit the institutions more than the individuals. If you're someone who is diligently maxing out your 401k because your HR department told you it was a smart tax move, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, the traditional 401k is the most successful marketing campaign in the history of the financial services industry. It's sold as a way to save on taxes, but in reality, it's often just a way to delay a much larger execution. We are going to dive into the math the government doesn't show you, the psychological traps of the lower tax bracket myth, and the practical solutions to defuse this bomb before it's too late. Here's the thing about tax-deferred investing. It sounds like a gift. The government tells you, hey, don't pay us taxes on that $5,000 today. Put it in this box, let it grow, and we'll settle up later. Let's think about that for a second. If a friend asked to borrow money and said, I'll pay you back in 30 years, but I'll decide the interest rate on the day I pay you back, would you take that deal? Of course not. That's insanity. Yet that is exactly what you do when you contribute to a traditional 401k. You are agreeing to pay a tax rate that hasn't been set yet on a balance that will hopefully be much larger at a time when you have zero earned income to offset it. The government isn't being generous. They are playing the long game. They are letting you do all the hard work of picking the right stocks, rebalancing the portfolio, and weathering the market storms. They are letting you be the farmer. But on harvest day, they get to decide how much of the crop they're taking. And here is the kicker. We are currently living in one of the lowest tax environments in American history. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 lowered rates across the board, but those cuts are scheduled to sunset in 2025. Combine that with a national debt that is growing by $1 trillion every 100 days and ask yourself, do you honestly believe tax rates will be lower 30 years from now? If the answer is no, then tax-deferred isn't a benefit, it's a trap. You are deferring taxes at a discount today to pay them at a premium tomorrow. Let's get into the forensic accounting of why your 401k is a ticking bomb. We need to talk about required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Most people think, I'll just leave the money in there and only take out what I need. The IRS says, no, you won't. Once you hit age 73 and eventually 75, the government forces you to take money out of your traditional 401k and IRAs. They want their cut, and they've waited long enough. Let's run the numbers. Suppose you've been a good saver. You maxed out your 401k for 30 years, and with a bit of luck and compounding, you hit age 73 with $2.5 million in your account. That sounds like a dream, right? But the RMD for a $2.5 million account at age 73 is roughly $95,000 in the first year alone. Now add your Social Security, let's say $35,000 for a couple. Suddenly, your retirement income is $130,000. Here is where the math gets brutal. That $130,000 isn't taxed as capital gains. It's taxed as ordinary income. Because you have a high income from your forced 401k withdrawals, you are now in a higher tax bracket than you were for most of your working life. But it gets worse. Because your income is high, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits suddenly become taxable. And it gets even worse. Because your income is high, you hit the Medicare IRMA brackets, meaning your monthly Medicare premiums can double or triple. You thought you were a millionaire. In reality, your RMDs have triggered a chain reaction of taxes and surcharges that are eating 30 to 40% of your purchasing power. You are paying for the privilege of accessing your own savings. Compare that to a Roth 401k or Roth IRA. If you had that same $2.5 million in a Roth account, your RMD is zero. Your tax bill is zero. Your Social Security isn't taxed. Your Medicare premiums stay low. The math proves that a smaller amount of money in a Roth account is often worth significantly more than a larger amount in a traditional account. Now you might be thinking, but Joey, my CPA said I should take the tax deduction now because I'll be in a lower bracket in retirement. Here's the thing. That is the single most dangerous lie in personal finance. First, as we just saw with RMDs, if you are a successful saver, the government forces you into a high bracket. You don't get a choice. Second, think about your expenses. When you're 70, you want to travel. You want to see your grandkids. You might have rising healthcare costs. Do you really want to live on less money when you finally have the time to spend it? Most people want to maintain their lifestyle, not downgrade it. If you want to spend the same amount of money you do now and tax rates go up, you are mathematically guaranteed to be in a higher effective tax situation. The lower bracket myth assumes you'll be a frugal, quiet retiree who doesn't do anything. It assumes the government won't change the rules. It's a strategy based on hope. And as we say on this channel, hope is not a strategy. Also, we have to talk about the tax torpedo. In the U.S., as your income increases, your Social Security goes from 0% taxable to 50% to 85%. There is a hump where every extra dollar you take out of your 401k can effectively be taxed at a marginal rate of 40 to 50% because it's pulling more of your Social Security into the taxable light. The government designed the 401k to be a tax-deferred account, but for the middle class, it's often a tax-multiplied account. You're not just paying tax on the withdrawal, you're paying a penalty on your other income sources because of the withdrawal. But Joey, my company matches 5%. That's free money. You're telling me to walk away from free money? Absolutely not. I'm not insane. If your employer offers a match, you take it. That is a 100% immediate return on your investment. No tax bomb is big enough to outweigh a 100% instant gain. But here's the distinction. You contribute up to the match, and then you stop. Most people blindly max out their 401k to the $23,000 limit, or whatever the current IRS cap is, just because they want that tax deduction today. That is a mistake. Once you've captured the free money from your employer, every additional dollar you put into a traditional 401k is just another brick in a house you don't fully own. You need to pivot. You need to look at your tax buckets. If your employer offers a Roth 401k option, and most major companies do now, switch your contributions there immediately. Yes, your take-home pay will drop slightly because you are paying the taxes now, but look at it this way. You are buying tax insurance. You are locking in today's known tax rates to protect yourself against tomorrow's unknown and likely higher rates. You are paying tax on the seed, so you don't have to pay tax on the entire harvest. So, what is the actionable play? How do we defuse the bomb? You need to build a tax-free fortress. Step 1. The match pivot. Contribute to your 401k only up to the point where your employer stops matching. If they match 6%, you put in 6%. No more. Step 2. The Roth IRA max out. Take the next chunk of your investment capital and max out a Roth IRA. If you make too much money for a direct Roth contribution, look into the backdoor Roth IRA process. This allows you to get money into the tax-free bucket regardless of your income. Step 3. The Health Savings Account hack. If you have a high-deductible health plan, the HSA is the triple tax advantage unicorn. It's a deduction going in, it grows tax-free, and it comes out tax-free for medical expenses. And after age 65, it essentially acts like a traditional IRA, but with the added benefit of tax-free health care. It is the ultimate weapon against the 401k bomb. Step 4. The taxable brokerage account. Don't fear the standard brokerage account. Yes, you pay capital gains taxes, but guess what? Capital gains rates, 0%, 15%, or 20%, are significantly lower than ordinary income rates, which go up to 37+%. Plus, a brokerage account gives you liquidity. If you need $50,000 for an emergency at age 50, you can take it from a brokerage account without a 10% penalty and a massive tax bill. The 401k traps your money. The brokerage account sets it free. Step 5. Roth conversions. If you already have a massive traditional 401k or IRA, you need to talk to a tax strategist about Roth conversions. This involves moving chunks of money from your traditional account to a Roth account now, paying the tax at today's rates so that the future growth is tax-free. You do this strategically in low-income years or up to the top of your current tax bracket. Look, let's be real for a second. We've been talking about math, but this is also about politics and history. The U.S. national debt is a runaway train. Social Security is facing a funding shortfall by the early 2030s. Medicare is in the same boat. When a government owes that much money, they only have 3 options: print money, which equals inflation; default on the debt, which equals economic collapse; raise taxes. Inflation is already here. Default is unlikely. That leaves taxes. And where's the biggest pile of unprotected money in the world? It's in American retirement accounts. There is over $35 trillion sitting in 401ks and IRAs. The government sees that money as a future revenue stream. They've already started changing the rules with the Secure Act and Secure 2.0. They pushed back RMD ages, but they also killed the Stretch IRA, making sure your kids have to pay all the taxes on your inheritance within 10 years. They are closing the exits. They want their cut. By staying 100% in a traditional 401k, you are betting your entire future on the hope that a debt-ridden government will be nice to you in 30 years. I don't know about you, but I don't like those odds. Here's your homework for this week. Log in to your retirement portal. Look at that big, beautiful number. Now multiply it by 0.75. That is your real balance. The other 25% belongs to the IRS. If that 25% number, the ghost liability, is bigger than your house, your car, and your college debt combined, you have a problem. You are over-leveraged to a single tax strategy. You need to start shifting your contributions. You need to start building tax-free income. Because the goal isn't to have $1 million on a screen. The goal is to have the purchasing power to live your life without asking for permission. Don't let your life's work become the solution to Congress's spending problem. Be the partner who dictates the terms, not the one who just signs the check on his 73rd birthday. If this video made you realize you have a silent partner you didn't ask for, share it with a coworker who is blindly maxing out their 401k. We need to wake people up before the tax rates change. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.